the stiff truth.
Massachusetts welcomes you. Gotta love that, dude. And rightfully so. Massachusetts is a lovely place for refugees. It's what I hear this time of year, anyway. It's beautiful. The changing of the seasons is something that those South American and Mexican and Cuban eyes would love. Oh my God. This drink, dude.
It's so bad.
Like there's no good flavor to it. It's like two whiskeys. And I even use a blended Scotch whiskey, which is like a little bit smoother, but still. This is one.
Let's do a show. Let's just get in there.
All right, let's get in there to win it. Are you ready?
I think so.
Let's see. Let me see. Let me get my timer out, sir.
It doesn't get any more ready than this. Look at this face. Look at this face.
Wow, you are ready to go. All right, hold on. Are you ready? All right. What are you doing now?
Turning my phone down. Keeping it professional.
Thank God. It only took you 2 seasons to learn that trick, huh? What do you see here? Na-na-na-na, or your phone's all na-na-na. Fucking like little like victory noise it made when you got a notification. Do you still have the same phone?
Yeah, so. Yeah, so.
Oh, shit. What a magical day. I'm just looking at you. I'm making sure you're okay. Are you ready? Are you prepared?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm close enough to prepare. After
a
couple of these drinks, it's going to be better.
Let me just close out this last window of gimp mask gay sex.
Hold on,
I'll
be right. I'm almost there.
You're all hold on, Scott. This is somewhat distracting. Let me minimize this window. I won't close it out. I'll just make it a little bit smaller. All right, Bobby, welcome to the Stiff Truth. I am Scott Castelnova, and of course, Mr. Bob West is with me here on the other end. Jesus Christ, what a crazy day so far, a magical day, depending on, I mean, whose fan you are in the NFL world. But I'll tell you what, Bob, before we even get started, what we're drinking today, because it's a doozy. There's been some crazy morning games here on this lovely Sunday. Have you seen some of these things? So now, number one here, I just want to start off here. The Colts get their first win over whom? The Kansas City Chiefs. Wow. I did not see that one coming, Bobby. And then I think the biggest one, which I'll say this, Bob, you called it. You called it, but now number one, first place, the Miami Dolphins take down the Buffalo Bills in a nail biter of a game, 21-19. How the hell are you doing, Bobby? What do you think about that stuff?
I'm doing good, and so far so good on that division. I did say Miami's going to win that division a couple of shows ago. You thought I was crazy. You thought I was just being a hater, and I'm not. But interesting fact. I still picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl from the wild card spot because I have the Bills and the Eagles still, right? So I don't know. We'll see what goes down. But I have been watching some of these games today, and Philadelphia, I think, is just starting to become like far and away the best team in the league.
I was thinking about that right before we were starting the show here today, and I was going to think, what am I going to say about Philadelphia today? Is Philadelphia really just showing themselves as that good of a team, or is Washington shitting the bed more than I thought they would? Because honestly, Jesus Christ. I mean, again, it's like the third game in a row that Washington has literally done absolutely nothing or negative yards offensively for the first half of a game. And then again, like the fourth quarter, Philadelphia didn't really score anything the second half of the game. But still, what can you do when you go down 24-0? I mean, they look great. One thing I can say is Jalen Hurts is he's got a great deep ball, a couple of really phenomenal deep passes to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. And Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I don't know, but they're 3-0. 3-0, you called it, buddy. So again, if Tampa Bay takes down Green Bay this afternoon. It looks like our predictions are still kind of going in the right direction for our Super Bowl picks, which again, it's very early in the season, but still, it feels good to be on the way to being somewhat right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it feels good to be right. It happens like sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, probably one of my biggest, because I did recommend the drink today, but one of my biggest swings and a misses is what we're drinking today, Bob. So I know that you're over there suckling it down just like myself here, but
Yeah, no, I'm getting in there. Look at that.
oh my goodness. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, this right here, my friend, is a Mexican blackjack. And wow, guys, let me tell you what here. I I don't recommend this one. It's stiff. Don't get me wrong. It's got nothing but booze in it, but it's an acquired taste. Can we say that?
You were so sweet, Scott. You're so sweet. Just like how you phrase things, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not gonna be so sweet. This drink is fucking nasty. Like, there's no pussyfooting around to this drink. It's just a bunch of shit that's thrown in a glass. It's fucking terrible. But you know what? It'll get you fucked up. Throw some ice on it and get through it. I'm sure they taste better as the night goes on. But man, this is not a staple in the West House. This is not something that I will recommend unless I have like a friend of me come over and be like, oh yeah, I got a great drink for you, you motherfucker.
It tastes nasty, but put some ice in it and you're going to get through it. Just how Bob pretty much plays his ass to mouth kind of game. You know what I mean?
A little bit of analgesic anesthetic on the rim of that glass, and you'll get through it without any problems. No worries. But look, here we are. I'm joking, but I've like almost totally killed one here. So, it is a drink, and it is my first drink this Sunday. So I love that face. That is a classic face. That's the face of someone that really enjoyed that drink.
That's a face of success right there. Let me tell you what.
But for those of you that want to catch like really Scott's like this drink is nasty face, just catch the show on YouTube this week. It'll be great.
Well, it is interesting too, Bob, because I'm not sure how I overlooked how disgusting this drink would be on the palate just by what was on the page. I mean, there's no mystery here. It doesn't sound like a doozy that's just gonna, just tantalize your taste buds. It's literally, guys, check it out, just so you know, because again, pens and needles are all, I want to have a shitty drink that tastes like ass to mouth. Of course you do. It's literally 1/2 ounces of the following. Shake that bitch pretty hard,
like Katharine Hepburn.
Yes. I just throw it in a nice glass. I put ice in my glass. Bob, did you even bother putting ice in there, or were you like,
no, of course. I got a ball of ice here. I wanted to kind of water it down a little bit, let it melt, keep it cold.
No, I feel
drink hot is just asking for like stomach churning. So
yeah.
When you look at the drink, it doesn't jump out at you. The only thing in here to flavor it other than booze is triple sec, right?
That's
so
it.
It doesn't jump out at you like, oh, this is going to be an amazing drink. Now, however, if you throw like an ounce of sour mix in this thing, I bet it does pretty good.
Perchance. And that's a drink that we're going to have to just kind of try out for round 2 here, because again, what it is here is you got a 1/2 ounce of tequila, blended whiskey, bourbon, and of course, to give it some palatable yumminess, some triple sec, 1/2 ounces of each. So it's basically 2 ounces of booze, a little bit of flavor in there with the triple sec. So you've got orange flavored whiskey shit. And tequila,
just orange flavored shit. That's
hey, Bob, just here, roll with me real quick. I've got orange flavored tequila and whiskey mixture. Huh? You're like, yeah. So I imagine this is something that the formation of this, because this is a legit drink in the bartender black book. It's legit. It's got the stamp of approval. So somebody out there likes it, I guess. But I can kind of see, how like a lot of drinks have backstories, how they were made, all that good jazz. I imagine like at a pretty shitty dive bar in Juarez or something like that. This is like the bar rag all sopped up on the bar, and he literally just rang that bitch out in a drink, and it, there was some spilled shots of whiskey and bourbon and some tequila, and that was probably it.
What's the bar mat drink called? When you like just take the bar mat of all the drinks that have been being poured, you just dump it into a glass. That's this drink.
Yeah,
That's what this is.
and the sweetness would be Mexican sweat in the original, but they decided to alter it a little bit and put some artificial sweetness in there, so they said triple sec. But yeah, I say this, and I'm about to start my second one, just so you know, because
I already did, yeah.
Because this is kind of how it is with this kind of drink. Like, you do need to just kind of, bite the pillow and just close your eyes and just, down the hatch, because that's the only way you're going to get through this one and get to the other side, Bob. So cheers to you. Hey, we've had some fantastic drinks here on the Stiff Truth. I say the ratio, the percentage that we're batting is pretty fucking good, but this is an epic failure.
This is not one of the epic drinks.
In fact, you know how we normally always like to say, well, when do you bust out this drink? Like you said, a frenemy or something like that. I'll probably never mention this one again. This will probably be like that weird bisexual experience in college. Probably never going to talk about this one again. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness.
No, I agree. Yeah, there's just no reason to whip this bad boy back out. Just go ahead and give it a firm grip and just tuck it away.
Your choice of vocabulary always amazes me, Bob. Give it a firm grip and tuck it away. Another important PSA from Mr. Bob West. I'll tell you that right now. Well, hey, bud, we've got some shit to talk about today. I mean, obviously, we could probably talk about it the rest of the show if we really wanted to just really punish people about the NFL. But I'll just say a couple more things here about it. I'm going to go ahead, and I didn't predict this, but Washington is going to comfortably hug the bottom of the NFC. Not even the NFC East in general.
The whole NFC. Are they the worst team in the league? Or just the NFC? Is there an AFC challenger out there?
Like
the Raiders?
I thought the Raiders, or maybe but the Raiders actually are playing good ball. Like, they only lost today by 2 points to the Titans. I mean, they almost won the game. And I was going to say that the Colts maybe were contenders, but they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs today. So believe it or not, and I think the Lions won today too. No, Minnesota won, but the Lions already beat us. So yeah, I think we're right here, just really hugging and holding on to dearly the caboose of the NFL right now. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of of a list of the worst teams out there, and right away Carolina jumps out, but they won today, right?
They sure did.
So, and they beat the Saints. That's not like an easy win. So maybe they're turning it around. Jacksonville, I would say, honestly, you just want to perennially say that Jacksonville is one of the worst teams in the league, but I don't think so this year. They're moving the ball, they're doing well. I think that they'll probably still lose more than they win, but I do think that they're going to win some games this year. The Browns, you think that the Browns, after everything going on with them, that they'd not be very good, but Jacoby Brissett seems to be manning the fort pretty well over there.
They're 2-1. They got the best running back tandem in football with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, hands down. I can't say anything about that.
I don't know. I mean, I guess Houston's kind of on the list, but even they're playing better than I thought they would.
They have a tie. They at least have a tie.
So they had a week go by that they didn't lose. Take that, Washington.
now, granted, we did beat Jacksonville, but it seems more and more as the season's progressing. Now here we are, all the way in week 3, me making just crazy predictions here. But I will just probably say that was an offensive fluke by Washington to win that game. But I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I guess the Raiders are contenders by a record standpoint, because they're 0-3. But like I said, they're in the game every single game. It hasn't been nearly as depressing. I've literally wanted to shoot myself in the head the past 2 first halves of Washington games, and it doesn't look like it's getting any easier. So, there is that.
And I hate to say it, but the Cowboys are probably
they're going to roll us next week.
Well, we'll see.
Hey,
we'll see how they do tomorrow with Cooper Rush. I did pick him up though in fantasy.
Yeah,
so
good
I'm fucking
you.
around.
Ooh,
so either way, on from the NFL, we'll take this topic and send it to Massachusetts.
We're gonna do that. I like that. Absolutely. Now, this has been all over the news. I know everybody's seen it here, but it's a political move, definitely a political point that has been made by conservative border touching states, mainly in the South and in the Southwest, that have been busing their migrants, their overflow of migrants now with Biden's controversial open border policy, sending them up north. Yes, so mainly Massachusetts. I know New York City. I know they've been getting some in DC. They've been going up to the Cape Cod, right? We talked about this earlier in the week, Bob. I definitely got feelings on, and I guess I can argue both sides of this little scenario here, but I do think that the decision and the conversation to send the migrants from the southern border states up to the northern cities that typically don't ever have to deal with this is kind of funny. It's kind of comical. If I was taking morals and ethics out of the picture completely, human rights, all that stuff, if I removed all of those from the scene, Bob, this is a good joke, a good practical joke, that these governors have pulled on some of these northern blue cities. But if we actually want to take this a little bit more organically and full bodied, so to speak, that's where I think I have some question marks here with its legitimacy as a smart move by these guys. What are your thoughts?
Well, a couple of things. I think DeSantis is an idiot. In all sense of the words. I don't think he's a very smart person in general. I don't think he surrounds himself by smart people. I think he wings it. I think it takes advantage of the rule and less educated people in Florida to maintain his position of authority there.
So you're saying he's a shoo-in for the Republican nominee for 2024 then?
Potentially. But so having said all that, I think he has a bunch of yes men around him that no one was willing to stand up to him and say, "Hey, this probably isn't the best idea. You should think this through." So there's a couple of things that really bug me about all of this. Right, first, just the idea to do it, like the narcissism knows no bounds. Like let's just go ahead and do this. These are real people. I think they're Venezuelan refugees, if I'm right there. They're here looking for political asylum. Right, so which is that's a real thing. That's a legal way to enter our country. They didn't just like sneak across fucking Arizona and then all of a sudden DeSantis rounded them up and shipped them off. So that they were here waiting for their court cases and all that for political asylum. So I find it odd that he's trying to make a point about illegal immigrants while he's bussing over legal immigrants up to Massachusetts to make a point and put him in the liberal place. Now, I get what he's trying to do. And it's just like, well, here in Florida, we have to deal with this, right? In Arizona and Texas, like they have to deal with that. New Mexico, we have to deal with it. They're actually coming across our border, and it burdens these border states, right? The Gulf states that they're coming in by boat, which, let's be honest, isn't near as much as they come in from Mexico, but still. So to make it a point, let's go dump them off in a liberal city or liberal area. I get it. I get the political statement, but there's children that are getting shipped off here. He went with you can see in my background there's a pamphlet.
So beautiful brochure, by the way, beautiful brochure.
So they made this pamphlet for these people, to like, here you go, and promise them, all these benefits and Massachusetts refugee benefits is the name of the pamphlet, and so they may not have lied to them, but they definitely misled them. Most of them probably not English speaking, right? So there's just a bunch of shitty things here. Now, don't get me wrong, it's funny that he took the liberty to bus some people over, but then when you get down into like looking at the actual lives that's affected, it becomes less and less funny the more I look into it. So there's got to be better ways to make your point. I think they're really struggling in the GOP to like make border policy a topic for for the midterm elections, because I don't think it's really on the top of very many people's minds as far as things that they care about that's going to affect their vote in November, right?
Yeah, I think you nailed something on the head right there, and why the political move was done is I think it is on the mind of a lot of the people that live close to this and have to deal with not the legal migration. I think overwhelmingly the issues are probably the illegal migration. And let's face it too, I think we've always had a huge issue with just drugs crossing the border when we had tighter kind of tighter laws and things like that. So I think there's probably been some pretty good stats that show that the amount of fentanyl and the amount of drugs in general has increased that's coming into the country. So I think if I had to play devil's advocate, I want to say that they want some of those pain points to be felt by people that normally aren't, because they're just not geographically in the proximity to do so. But you're right. Again, you're playing games with people's lives. I mean, I know that sounds pretty cheesy, but that's literally kind of what's going on right now. So that's why I say, I can see both sides of it. I think the biggest thing is, if we want to go back to just what's going on with the Republicans for the midterms right now, I mean, Jesus Christ, what was it? It was Arizona just now, almost made didn't they just pass legislation very recently that made abortions pretty much illegal? They're shooting themselves in the foot right now. It's anything they could possibly do to just slide right into majority of the House and the Senate is slipping away by a lot of this shit going on. And I think they're kind of grabbing for straws with some of this stuff too. So that's why, hence, it is a big deal. And I'm sure if I lived in some of these areas, the illegal migration would be an enormous burden on just the local communities. But I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make at this point either. All they're doing right now by sending these migrants up there, causing a lot of problems for these migrants and their family. And do you think that any of the liberal decision makers and politicians in these cities are like, you know what, Greg Abbott, he was right on the money. I apologize, sir. I'm totally on board now with you. And same thing, DeSantis. I don't know why we couldn't see it, but now that you've put these people at our doorstep and we can't take care of them and it's a burden on our city, I'm on board with you. Let's unite together and let's just power through as Americans. Is that what they thought was going to be the outcome here? No, I think they knew they were being decisive and they were creating more divide. And here we are again, just kind of splitting the waters a little bit further away from each other. You know what I mean? So again, to your point there, I don't really know what this is accomplishing, but besides riling up some voters, maybe, I mean, it's definitely all over the news, and they wouldn't keep putting it through the news cycle every day unless it was doing something with, viewership. I don't know, ratings.
And I don't think they're doing themselves any favors, meaning, Abbott and DeSantis and just kind of the GOP before the midterms anyway. Because you're right, they are riling up the voters. I've heard plenty of conservatives, mention this, right? Mention immigration and get to pivot towards immigration. Like the $5 loaf of bread isn't the problem right now in America. It's the immigrants, right? Obviously, the $100 that I spend at the grocery store just buying a couple of items for today and tomorrow's groceries, that's not the problem. It's obviously the immigrants, right? And I think to some extent they're successful in pivoting the focus and the news cycle away and putting it on that. But what they ought to be doing is bringing up the economy and making that the number one priority, and look at Biden's failures and making it hit everyone's pocketbooks, because I think that's what gets people to really have introspection and to not focus on partisan politics so much, and to really well, how is this president, how are these legislators affecting my life personally and my family's life? That's the win that the GOP can be going after, but it doesn't seem like they're really going after that. And it's once again, it's another miss. And they're riling up the voters, but Scott, they're riling up the voters that were already going to vote for them. It doesn't do them any favors.
They are screaming in an echo chamber of conservatism right now. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And it is interesting because you would think, as a conservative strategizer, you would definitely lean on the pain points of just financial motivation. I think that's the strongest motivation, regardless of what party you're in.
It's almost always the biggest vote getter, financial, right, and the impact in medical, right? Because medical impacts financial. So it all boils down to financial is the pillar of the pyramid there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, and that should be more their focus. It is some of their focus, obviously, but they are they're just trying to layer it. They're trying to layer this. They want this platform to be more dynamic, and I think that's laying a little bit flat. Now, going back to what I was saying, the one thing, even if there's not a direct correlation, which I think there probably is with some statistics here, but you could definitely say the amount of fentanyl coming into the country and the spike of that over the last couple of years could definitely be a contributing factor here to what's going on with illegal immigration. And there's just a lot more people kind of just going across the border pretty much unchecked. And that would be something maybe that I would like kind of lean on a little bit more, because that's something that's affecting everybody. I mean, you got like high schools now that are carrying fentanyl, like the security guards and like the nurses are not carrying fentanyl, Narcan, the shit that can like snap you out of an overdose and dying from, from opiates, is now like common things to have in like high schools and middle schools across the country. That's fucking pretty crazy. So if anything, making that connection a little bit more, even though again it might not be a direct correlator, it definitely can be seen as a big contributing factor to what's happening with the overwhelming amount of dangerous drugs that are coming into the country. But you know what? An overwhelming amount of dangerous drugs have been coming in the country from Mexico for, the last 60, 70 years, regardless of what's been going on.
Drugs have been around, since drugs have existed, and they've been, seized, and then they've been coming from Mexico.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could go both ways on that, like you typically do sexually. You know what I mean? So you can't really pinpoint it down, Bob. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, you can pin it down as long as your ass is still up.
Wait, well, it's an interesting thing, though. We had talked about immigration before. All for it. All for legal immigration. I do have an issue with illegal immigration, and I think I'm not alone on either side of the aisle. If you ask, like, hey, that guy's not coming here legally, do you have a problem with that as a citizen here? Well, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I'm like, why can't he just come in legally? Well, because there's all kinds of barrier to entry. Okay, but like, why do we have these rules? All right, well, I get it. So, you go round and round with like playing humanitarian and then being like, you have to do some things to become a citizen. They're like, well, that's too much friction. They can't do that because they're poverty stricken, blah, 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 blah. So guess what? Not everybody should be allowed to be a citizen or go to other countries and start posting up shop there. I think it's interesting when I hear conversations about this and how like the conservatives apparently have this lack of humanity, like they just can't stand people and they're like hardcore nationalists about it. If you try to get like a fucking citizenship for Switzerland, try it, dude. It's not going to happen. You and I could never actually do it. I don't think we could even accomplish it if it was our life goal, because they look at your bankroll, and if you don't have like so much like wealth, they don't even consider you to be a contributor for their country. And there's a lot of people like in the Norwegian kind of Scandinavian countries and everything. It's pretty similar. It's pretty fucking hard. Now, there's also a bunch of people in Russia right now, like fleeing Russia and going over the Finnish border. I haven't heard anything about them being put in camps or anything like that. So they obviously are pretty understanding of like
Finland has open borders.
Right. Well, of humanitarian crises. But again, like the idea that like there should be no rules and regulations or any kind of like standards for people to just come and try to contribute to another country, that seems a little bit weak to me too. So I don't know if I completely, you know what I mean? I have an issue on both ends of the table is kind of what I'm saying.
So our country was founded on immigrants, right? Bring us your tired, you're hungry, you're huddled masses, and how it goes. Something along those lines.
Something you know the thing, man. Come on.
The thing, damn it. The darn thing.
Right.
And that's fine, but just like everything else, just like, I believe that gun laws need to probably be, redone since the Second Amendment. We should probably amend the Second Amendment and update it, make it more relevant. I think we should also change a little bit of our ideology with immigration. And it's not that we can't accept people to the U.S. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with setting a bar and at least having a minimum standard, and at least having if you don't meet at least this criteria, then you have to come back when you do. Other than, of course, asylum seekers. Our asylum process is only like, I want to say it was like 50,000 a year or something like that actually get granted asylum. It's a fairly low number considering the amount that are applying for it. And that has to go through a legal process and all that. And I get it. That's kind of different between, political and like, religious asylum or whatever the hell you're trying to do. I get that. That's a little bit different, but just straight up, I want to go to America and be afforded all the benefits and opportunities that are in America because name your country sucks. So you want to come here. But we do need to have the standard. Most industrialized nations do have a standard. They do have this minimum set of standard that, let's be honest, usually involves a college degree, like especially in Europe.
It usually involves the strategy of trying to ensure that you're not bringing in dead weight to your country. Let's just like really make it very fucking simple, right? Like the reason why we have a bar set anywhere for people to be contributing members of your country is because you want just that. Like, what are you going to bring to the country? What's in it for us as a country? And I think that's fucking fair. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you weren't born here and you want to come here because your country sucks or you just don't like it or you're bored or you like the opportunity here, cool. What are you going to do for us? I think that's extremely fair. And I think it's very basic. And I think the questioning of that and the pushback on just that is short-sighted and kind of stupid in the sense that, like, hey, if we just like, and again, I'm not saying that I'm not for legal immigration or people coming here in droves. That's totally fine. But I would like to hope that all of these people are bringing a diversity of understanding and intelligence and skill sets and all these things that can benefit us as a whole versus what is like the really negative scope of it from the conservative lens. Is there a bunch of drug dealers? There are a bunch of rapists? There are a bunch of low-life criminals that escape from prison or whatever it is. Obviously, if that was the case, then I'd be like, well, hey, pump the brakes. We don't need all your dirtbags here. We don't want to be like Australia Part 2 from England. You know what I mean? Like, let's not do that. But I just don't think that's the case, on the majority.
Well, and Scott, I think that there's room for a comprehensive immigration plan, right? Why can't we have that bar that is like, well, we're coming to America because of this, we're like, we have no criminal records. We have this, we've been, working, have this amount of kids. We go to school, like we just kind of do our normal thing or whatever. We just want a better opportunity in America. And then there's that whatever that minimum bar seems to be. Like, all right, you guys meet that, you're on the 2-year like list. We can only let so many people in that meet this criteria, and it takes a couple of years to get through that. But then you have the people that are coming in. It's like, well, I'm a businessman, a family. Again, we have no criminal record, no college educated. We're coming in. We want more opportunities in business in America. It's like, okay, well, you're on a different added value immigration plan here because your bar is higher, and so you're on this other list that normally takes about 6 months to a year instead of 3 to 5 years or whatever it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's wrong with something being merit based. Now, outside of the asylum seekers, obviously you're in a war torn country, or you're like a let's see, a Pakistani person, but like you're Catholic or whatever, and you're facing religious persecution and you're requesting religious asylum in America. I get it. That's different. We have a set number of that we can let in every year. We can address that or look at that. But the bottom line is, like, no one wants to touch immigration laws. No one wants to do it as far as the legislature goes. Presidents can come in and sign it, but you see what happens. Title 42 went into effect. Title 42 stayed. Biden signed it away. Now it's gone. And there's just like, presidents do their executive orders, but executive orders, that's like the shitty drink.
Yeah, pretty
it'll
much.
work and it'll get the job done, but before you know it, it's gone.
or you're never going to talk about it again. One or the
right.
other.
But actually looking at it and putting a task force on it and coming up with a comprehensive legislation plan, the Democrats and Republicans won't put their neck out on the line for that because the blowback and the potential blowback, right? So they just won't risk it, and so they'll avoid it. And then they news cycle us away to this other shit that needs to be more important, but it's always usually fucking safe betting nonsense that just kind of hedge their bets, right? But we need, like, some hard-hitting issues need to be hit here and need to be addressed, like gun laws, like immigration laws, and no one wants to fucking have the sack to do it anymore.
Sack. Let me tell you what. Besides that, Bob, besides just really underlining the word sack, no, I was thinking about this too. Unfortunately, it's a theme that we've seen here, and that I think we identify on the Stiff Truth. I think the biggest issue, and again, this is my opinion, in the abortion debate in the country, and time again, I brought this up, is I think most people are pretty understanding of legitimate like immigration and migrants that are here either for good reason and they're going to be contributing members of our society, or asylum seekers and people that just need to get away from just horrible oppression. I think the majority of people on both sides of the aisle are on the same page with that. Probably wouldn't even bat an eye one way or another with the understanding there. Unfortunately, I think again it's very polarizing because the minority of each faction, the extreme left and right, are very noisy about one, the conservatives, like everybody that's coming in, and this is the lens from like the far left, is like, oh, these fucking conservatives, bunch of nationalists, bunch of fucking racists, don't come in our country, Billy Bob, whatever, and then you got the other side, it's like, just let anybody and everybody in, criminals, whatever, open arms, hug the guy.
Everyone has the best intentions.
Sure, he killed his entire family and his entire village, but he's a changed man. Let's just let him in. Oh, and by the way, you're taking him in with your family of 5 on this border, Texas, this Texas border town. They have these really unrealistic kind of paint pictures that they paint of each side of it. And I think that's what kind of keeps this extremely divisive and such a tough issue for people too, because those, again, when there are people that are offering up legislation to kind of balance these rules and these laws out, those are the people that are getting up in arms and crazy, and they make the most noise, right? So, and I think that's I think that's the theme for me. Is it's another episode, Bob, of the extreme strike again, and kind of make it a stalemate for everybody else in the country, who's probably on a whole pretty pretty considerable about the whole thing.
Well, no, I agree, and I was looking at just numbers of apprehended or turned away immigrants, just in general. This is from usafacts.org, and I was just looking like the biggest number before last year that popped out at me, it was 1.67 million in the year 2000, right? So that was Clinton's last year, right? And they had 1.67 million. Now, I don't know, there's no number to obviously estimate how many came across that weren't apprehended. You never know, right? And then it dropped down all through kind of Obama. It's 700,000, 500,000, 400,000, 300,000, and then in 2017, which would have been Trump's first year, it was 300,000. But then it picked up a little bit, and then went to 800,000 by 2019, and then back down to 400,000 in 2020.
So those numbers don't really tell a story for me. You know what I mean? I don't see, like, every time I think I see a trend, then it just like ping pongs the other way.
Well, it's a big like dip, right? But last year we shot up again back to 1.66 million again, and that's the highest number since 2000. By like a damn sight. The next highest number is 1.1. So 500,000 more people were detained or turned away at the border last year than in 2000. Now, or since 2005, which is the second number. But anyway, what I'm saying is that in the last 20 years, we've peaked again, back to turning people away. But this is only half of the story, right? Because we don't know, because we've seen the lines and we've seen all the people huddled at the border, right? We've seen it for a few years now.
Sure.
But so we don't know how many people are estimated to be coming in. So it's hard to say, is this a good job or not? Like, are the numbers coming in really like 4 times kind of the normal for the last 20 years? Or did they catch the same amount? That's the thing. So there's hidden numbers, because all we have is the people that get caught. So,
and they're also not really taking into account with those numbers too, is during all of those years, like, has there been dramatically an influx of humanitarian crises around the world, which are driving a lot of asylum seekers? There definitely has in the near term, and there has been over the last 20 years. Has it been that dramatically different? I think it does make a little bit of a difference in these numbers in recent influx, that during Biden's campaign for presidency and like right as he took office, he kind of like told everybody like to come to America, right? So that definitely drove up some numbers for a little bit. But again, like most of those people should be legitimate, like you would think. I don't know. It's interesting, Bob. This is one of those things where I feel like it shouldn't be, but immigration is just as much of a taboo and hot topic as abortion and some others like that, where it's literally, it's in my mind, it's one of those things where I don't think we're ever going to find a common ground here. I don't think there's a unity win in the immigration issue.
And let me ask you this, Scott. Do you think that immigration impacts our lives enough to be this kind of a topic?
You know, there's not a direct correlation in my mind that it's going to impact my life specifically, but I'm sure I could sit down with somebody on the other side that's pretty intelligent, and they could walk me through the 6 or 7 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or whatever, how it dramatically affects my life. And I will say this: I am ignorant to the information and the data that gives me a way of answering that very intelligently. How's that?
No, I like that, and I think that's important that you say that.
Yeah,
because I think 99.5% of us are in the same boat.
Yeah,
I think we're all just kind of, immigration is a thing. Like you do have people trying to make it a thing, but is it really a thing? And that's the tough decision. I don't know. I know personally for me, if I was trying to campaign right now, I wouldn't be giving two shits about immigration personally. I'd be talking about inflation. I'd be talking about jobs. I'd be talking about AI and automation and how are we going to handle that moving forward so that in 20 years we're not all fucked, right? Or we just have to get rid of money, currency, and we just share. Like I don't know. But I'd be talking about that. I'd be talking about obviously the individual rights. I think is a pretty big topic. So I don't know. I don't know. Just the healthcare and economy, for me, it always keeps coming down to that. And that's what affects me and my family the most, always.
Well, and again, just thinking about the other side here, I'm sure you can make some pretty, and I wish I had like a stat gatherer right now too, because I'm sure illegal
Where are you
immigration,
at, Tommy?
right?
Illegal today.
I'm sure illegal immigration or immigration in general, there's numerous things that I'm sure somebody could spit out at me that would directly affect the health of the economy. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Because again, why is it such a big thing for conservatives? That's probably number one. I would imagine there's a lot of things, and you can, not to get too far off here, but again, if you have a bunch of people that are doing labor cheaper, that are coming in as migrants, and you're putting all kinds of Americans that are wanting a little bit more money because they're used to making more money, that's going to directly and affect job numbers, and then of course that would affect the economy. Those job numbers being poor or whatever would affect the stock market. I mean, there's definitely a series of a domino effect that could happen there, which I guess you could very easily connect the dots. Again, I just don't have those numbers. I haven't researched it enough. I'm ignorant to all the details there, so I can't be overwhelmingly passionate one way or another. I can say that I would like to turn on the television and not see something about immigration, just like how it's kind of refreshing lately to turn on the television and see immigration and not see something about the coronavirus pandemic. You know what I'm
saying? That's actually been nice. I love how Biden basically said that the coronavirus pandemic is over.
Well, I mean,
last week, I've been thinking that for months and months.
You know what's crazy though? I've been thinking it for months too, but it's like one of those things where you got to look around, you knock on some wood, you're like, is the pandemic over now? I was like, should I say that? Should I start being an asshole about it? Should I get boastful? Should I have a chip on my shoulder about it? I don't know, Bob, but it is pretty nice. Now, I've even watched the commercials recently too. Pfizer's pushing their hey, we've got these boosters for the COVID variants. I was watching one earlier when I was watching the game. I was like, I don't know if anybody really cares anymore. I think we're past this now. I mean, those are just kind of my thoughts. I think right now, I think Pfizer's they've made so much fucking money over the past couple of years. Dude, I think the most profits of any company in history over the past couple of years, if I'm correct here, they're up there. And they're probably pushing the commercials and the marketing campaign way harder because they see their profits starting to tank because there's no external demand pushing down on it anymore. And it's dude, ramp it up. We want COVID booster commercials the 2 30-second spots on every commercial break for the next fucking 10 months, dude. Like, let's go. Let's get these people scared. But again, knock on wood, it doesn't look like monkeypox is going to be the next one. So that's always nice too. Thank God I finally gave up, bloody, dirty anal sex with anonymous partners. Thank God, because I could have been on the chopping block.
So like you just asked their name first now, right?
Exactly.
You're not anonymous. If
I was
you tell
like,
me your name. It's not as dirty.
I'm like, hey, greasy guy with the mustache at the bathhouse, what's your name? John, I'm Scott. See, now we're not strangers. That's exactly how that works. Oh, dodged a bullet. Hey, do you have any kind of pus pockets, like abscess kind of things on your face, arms, or shoulders, or hands? No, you're good to go. Let's go. Let's go to the steam room, fella. But no, and in all seriousness though, that is kind of refreshing. If I could say that again. When's the last time? Can you remember the last time that you saw like that doom and gloom kind of coronavirus like feature on the news where it brings in like the red fucking coronavirus like germ looking thing or whatever, and it's all like, oh, dun, dun, dun. I haven't seen that in a few months now.
I think it's been since like last year,
Woo!
maybe earlier this year, but I don't know. I don't watch a lot of news anymore.
You're better than that, aren't you?
It's really got me down. I just like do my own research when I'm looking for shit.
Interesting.
But I do think it's important to note that no nukes got set off in Ukraine this weekend. So
that's a good thing.
I think that's good. We've got that going for us. I'm not gonna lie, we did buy some of that potassium. What is that shit?
I think they call them bananas here in the States. No,
is it chloride?
Yeah, I don't know.
Potassium chloride. That shit that's supposed to like help if there's like nuclear fallout.
I'm not familiar with it. I just know that I eat plenty of bananas, 2 a day if I can,
we got some of that to keep with like our food rations because in our gas masks.
Let me ask you this total tangent here. I saw it on TikTok. We love TikTok here at the Stiff Truth, by the way. I thought it was a joke, but there was an advertisement on TikTok, a legit advertisement for this thing that you like hook on the wall and you put a banana in there and it fucking jerks the banana off pretty much, but it's a banana cleaner. Dude, the comments were out of hand because this guy's all, and to think I've been eating dirty bananas my whole life. Like, who the fuck cleans the banana? Like
next thing you know, some guy's like climbing the wall.
Well, you can attach this thing wherever you want. So you can attach it, crotch level, eye level, whatever it is. But I literally had to like watch the whole thing because I was waiting. How the TikTok videos are, they'll show like a fake ad and then like, it'll cut to something else and it'll be like the punchline. You know what I mean? It's a nice little setup, these funny little 15-second jokes that they do a lot on TikTok. But there was no punchline. I went to the website. It was a legit website. But yeah, the comments, it was classic, dude. It was so classic. But literally, everybody out there, check it out. I shit you not. There is a device, an electronic device that you put a banana in. It essentially looks like it's jerking off the banana and it scrubs the banana clean because, you always want the peel of your banana to be clean, not the part that you eat, but the peel. So interesting stuff there, Bob. I'm sorry to derail us there a little bit, but when I mentioned bananas from your potassium whatever thing about nuclear fallout, it reminded me of something really funny I saw. Are you looking it up right now?
I am looking it up. I'm trying to find the banana cleaner.
It's a banana cleaner. It's too crazy. I immediately thought he was going to take a shot to some dude using it on his crotch too. It was crazy, dude. But that's the other thing we were talking about. Another like on a positive note here, Bob. Not only did nukes not go off in Ukraine, but you saw what happened here. What was the legislation? I can't remember the name of the legislation that Putin just passed, but essentially he just enacted a draft, and he's looking to recruit 300,000 new Russian soldiers. It looks like the Russian people don't agree with this at all. There's been like almost 10,000 people that have fled to the, like I was saying earlier, to the Finnish border, to Mongolia, to other neighboring states. It looks like also Zelensky too has given like, what's the term? It's not. I don't know if it's asylum, but he basically told Russian troops if you're willing to like give up and surrender, we won't tell Putin. Basically, they'll keep their surrender a secret and like basically not harm them, which is a big thing because apparently I think the rules in Russia is if you like willingly surrender to the enemy before the country's ready to, that's a minimum of 10 years in prison. So it's no punk bitch. But I can say with what's going on right now, does it look like this may be like a turn of the tides? I don't want to like get ahead of myself here or anything, but if like the Russians literally don't have enough manpower to sustain their military prowess here with Ukraine, what's next for these guys, Bob?
Well, I'm hearing that they've lost like somewhere between 30 and 50,000 troops.
Yeah, dude.
So to
It's
put that in perspective, we lost like 6,000 in Vietnam.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're getting their asses handed to them over there. So maybe the one thing that they had going for them is keeping the Russian public in the dark with their state-controlled media, right? Um, but now there's a mass exodus. I mean, you could saw it, you could see it. It was like lines for miles of people just in line walking out of the country.
Yeah.
So men walking out of the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe he's finally losing the populace with this war in Ukraine. I know there's been talk from other members of government that Putin should stand down and quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been even Russian state media has suggested that maybe it's time for Putin to retire.
Dude, I'm surprised they haven't found themselves suicided somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm surprised Hillary Clinton isn't visiting them like this weekend. This is interesting. How ballsy is that where state media in Russia is actually saying something against the grain with Vladimir Putin? That's big shit, bro.
Well, the last time a Russian leader lost a war like this, he was forced to resign. He was
Interesting.
forced to retire. So, um, and that's kind of what we're looking at. But again, it's not the end. He could always just press the button, right? But to attack a non-nuclear country with nukes, that's pretty bad business right there.
But
So,
does he even care? That's the thing about Putin right now. What's going on with this guy's mind? A lot of people say he's got cancer, he's ill, he's mentally ill, like all this kind of stuff. Like it looks like if he cared about his credibility in the world like right now, like he probably would have made a few like zigs instead of zags already on his way here. It looks like he's like at the point of no return, which kind of worries me. Like no matter what's going on with this war, like if he bit off more than he can chew, if he underestimated how much, not the Ukrainian people, don't get me wrong, the Ukrainian people are amazing, very brave people, but I think he underestimated how much the world would come and rally behind, Ukraine, and how much like the world would basically keep funneling resources and weapons and money to Ukraine. I mean, we've propped up, we meaning the royal we, the world, has propped up Ukraine to like kind of be a thorn in his spine. And it looks like now it's going a different direction. But does he fucking care? Is there a like, you know what? I'm gonna like cash in my chips and like, live to fight another day. Does that even kind of like thought process happen with this dude? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. He's probably painted himself in a corner a little bit because he's told the Russian people that Ukraine is a part of Russia and they're rebels and they're acting like a sovereign nation when they really should be part of Russia. But they haven't been part of Russia since the USSR broke up in the 90s. I mean, so I really don't know what's going to happen, and no one obviously does. But I can't imagine that it would be like worth starting a nuclear war because even China can't be down with that. China's even like starting to speak out against Russia, invading Ukraine these days. So I don't know. It seems like everyone's now against him. It's not just like the free nations. Like everyone's like, dude, you lost. You gave it your best college try, but you failed. You're gonna have to retake this next semester. Uh, so I don't know. We're all just kind of waiting and seeing, and he's what, like 69 now?
Yeah,
And the problem with that is he shakes like Katharine Hepburn. He has to hold on to shit so he doesn't Michael J. Fox interviews.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that makes sense too. I mean, I mean, yeah, he's not completely frail and like looks like he's lost his capacities even as much as Joe Biden. I'm gonna just say that right now. He looks like he's in worse shape mentally than Putin, but he's a little bit he's a dark horse. I'll just say that right now. He's a little bit of an unknown. So I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I do hope that he just keeps kind of getting defeated from all angles internally and otherwise. Hopefully he'll just just say, hey, there's really no point in continuing forward with my quest here to bring back Mother Russia, because apparently Mother Russia doesn't want to come back together. You know what I mean? I think that's a resounding kind of theme with the countries that broke away from the USSR.
No one liked it the first time. They don't want a second go around.
Right?
That pussy stank, dude. They're not gonna get back in there.
No, none of that shit, bro. So interesting stuff. Again, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm hoping for the best here. I'm hoping for a nice, peaceful resolution, at least in the grand scheme of things. I know there's been a lot of people that have lost lives, lost a lot of things, but it does look like things are going in the right direction so far right now. So that's all we can really hang our hats on, I guess.
Well, how are we on time?
Well, let's see. We are almost we're pretty much right there. We're right there at the end of the road. We're about to cross the finish line, Bob.
The end of the line.
Yes, yes. I mean, you can see the ribbon like right in front of us. You're literally reaching your hands out like this. You're trying to like push your chest forward to be the guy just to pop through that finish line in
on the
first
other
place.
side of that ribbon, someone's holding a banana cleaner.
Where to God? I tell you what, my friend, if that's just not the most, and again, I'm gonna have to do more research on this. This was a late night kind of just like TikToking kind of down the rabbit hole, but it made me laugh. I don't think I sent it to you though.
I think you need to like duet it and give us the reaction so that everyone can follow you on TikTok and watch the banana cleaning.
Well, I need to be the one that like uses it in an advertisement, how it can be used for multiple utilities. You know what I mean? Like you could clean your bananas and you can do other things around the house with this too and do some demonstrations. But wow, that's all I can say. It's a good time to be an inventor out there, an influencer, apparently.
Well, I know we kind of dove off into some important stuff, but sometimes we got to talk about important shit. It can't always be dick and fart and banana cleaning jokes.
It can't always be, but guys, we promise that we'll continue to push the envelope and clean bananas as much as we possibly can in future episodes. But
and if you don't like it, I've got a plane that's going to Martha's Vineyard for you.
Oh boy, too soon? Nah, I think we're fine here. But hey, guys, I think we are here at the end. Bob and I would like to thank you again for always joining us here at The Stiff Truth. We just love everybody that's a contributor to the show, that continues to follow and like us and follow our silly asses. So, guys, enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. Get out there, clean those bananas, keep them squeaky clean, and we will see you again soon. Take care.
See ya.